You. Yes, you. It's just you and me. You look me in the eyes and you tell me what day it is. Yeah, it's that time of year. And let me guess. You're single and you're feeling extra single because today is that notorious day. You're a Christian and you want a relationship. But here's your problem. The people that you like, the people that you would love to get into a relationship with, they don't like you. And when people do like you, you don't like them back. So you're struggling. In fact, you are struggling a lot with loneliness today, and you're wondering, where's my person? I would really like to meet my person, and I am suffering because I have not met them yet. Let old Danny take care of you today, and let's have a chat about all of that. And at the end of it, you're probably going to feel like I just wasted like half an hour of my life. So let's get into it. Start into any of that, this video is really excellent advice for a very small subsection of humanity and a small subsection of Christians at that. So if you are within that subsection of people, then you're welcome. You're going to love this, I think, and it'll benefit your life. If not, sorry for wasting your time. Sit through it and find out. Anyways, singleness is a huge common complaint amongst young Christians today. And if you're serious about wanting a godly relationship, you're going to consider my points now and decide how you will apply them. You might not even apply them at all, but you just need to be honest with yourself whether you are a jerk when it comes to relationships or not. So the big idea that I'm going to get at in this video, and this is going to be it in a nutshell, is that you will never get with the right person. So instead of looking for someone who's perfect for you right at this moment, why don't you go focus on their potential instead? And potential is going to be our biggest keyword tonight. Let's back up and let's ask ourselves the question, why are relationships so dang hard today? Why can't it be like the 1950s? I hope you didn't say that, because the 1950s had their own their own sets of problems when it comes to relationships. But we have our unique issues with relationships in today's day and age. Relationships and marriages have more or less throughout the course of history become more and more privatized and self-centered. Yes, it makes total sense to want a partner who improves your well-being, but when personal fulfillment becomes your entire purpose of getting into a relationship, well, it may sound good. It may sound like a really wise thing to take good care of yourself and have your own best interests at heart when finding a partner. But when that fulfillment becomes the entire point, it actually causes way more strain and burden. You know why? It's because people change. You will not be married to the same person that you fell in love with. That's just how time and growth works. If your relationship is completely built on compatibility and someone being just the perfect spouse at the moment that you marry them, it's not going to last, because guess what? People change, and sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better, but you never know what happened. And 9 times out of 10, things deteriorate, let's say. Okay, so now we have a commitment issue because everything is about ourselves, right? The other person, everything about them, they are perfect if they serve our own needs. Okay, so if we go in with this mindset, no wonder why people struggle to commit. Because guess what? With this kind of standards, we are looking for someone who won't require us to change as much. We want someone who's low maintenance, someone who's emotionally secure, someone who's independent, someone who's content with life, right? Someone that does not require us to strain so much and exert so much energy and I guess self-sacrifice to maintain this relationship. Oh, also, this person needs to meet our standards for attraction and compatibility. Boy, this makes it really hard to find somebody, because you're essentially looking for someone who's perfect and completely fine on their own, who have very little in terms of personal problems and needs. If you were to find someone like that, can you guarantee that they want you? I hope you understand now that finding someone like that is darn near impossible. But let's backtrack a little bit and take a look at the Christians. Do you think Christians are affected by this self-fulfilling view of finding a spouse? I say this mindset has seeped deeply into Christian culture as well. If you don't agree with that, fine. But either way, there seems to be an obsession with marriage in a corner of Christianity today. Not everybody, but a lot of the people that I encounter, right? This obsession with this super awesome, holy, Disney-like magical relationship. It reflects idolatry if you think about it way too much. And when we see marriage as just a means for personal fulfillment rather than it accomplishing God's purposes and design, we have an idolatry problem. How do you know if you are having this idolatry problem? All you have to do is just think, if I were to never have the perfect marriage in my life, the one that I really, really want, am I going to be okay? And if the answer is no, deeper problems lie ahead. Now, it may sound like this is me saying that standards are a bad thing. While standards are not bad, I think anyone with a brain, anyone with any common sense biblical knowledge would know that standards are a very important thing when you are looking for a godly spouse. But you need to ask yourself your own unique set of standards. You need to ask yourself whether they're for the greater good or just for your own selfish gains. Sometimes it's not black and white like that. Maybe it's a little gray, it's half and half, but you need to get rid of the half that is selfish. So I would ask yourself these questions if you are somebody who is struggling to find someone because you don't think they're good enough, I guess. Ask yourself these questions. Number one, are you anywhere close to being the person that you are looking for? Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be that exact person, but is your quality as a human being close to what you're looking for in a spouse? Is it fair to want unconditional love when you have so many conditions you set for loving somebody else, for dedicating your romantic life to somebody else? Right? If you're not even measuring up to what you're looking for, then you don't understand what unconditional love is. Okay, next question. Why should someone this amazing settle for you if you are not at least their equal or striving to be their equal? You're looking for that amazing man or woman of God who have this, that, all those awesome, amazing qualities. Who are you? Are you good like that? Are you a catch like that? Or you're just hoping to get lucky? Fair question, no? If your standards are about physical traits, then you need to ask yourself, even if you find the perfect physically attractive spouse, what happens if they go through hardship and change that causes them to not be as attractive as they were before? Everybody gets old and wrinkly. Not everybody, but a lot of people would gain weight as they age. In a few decades, the person you marry is not going to be that super attractive supermodel that you married. So if at this very moment that person becomes not as attractive as they or as when you saw them first, let's say, will you still love that person? Next, if your standards are about personality traits or financial traits, all of these things, what happens when these people go through things that cause them to change once again? Or this person can't support you like they did before. So those things that you liked before, they pass away with time. Will you still love this person? Think about it like that. If that person instantly became not this and not that, then what happens? Right? If your answers make you uncomfortable, then you might be approaching relationships for the wrong reasons, right? If all these things that I named, some of them could be important, I guess, standards to have, but they're secondary, I think, at their best. So if these secondary traits is going to cause you to lose, quote unquote, unconditional love for said person, you might be putting them at a much higher category than they should be. And the point I'm trying to make is, at the end of the day, look, have these preferences if you must, but these things pass away with time. Okay, so if you're looking for a marriage that's going to last your entire living years, then you'll be looking for traits that last way longer than these things, right? Traits that's going to last 10 years, 15 years, 50 years down the line. What are those traits going to be? Last question. This gets a little personal because I have a personal not a not like an actual, thing against these people, but it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm going to ask you this question. Are you just actually scared of commitment itself? If there's a good chance that you have major attachment and commitment issues, but you mistake it for you just haven't met the right person yet. Bad news for you, if that's you, go see a counselor and get those get those issues figured out, because commitment is going to be hard eventually, no matter how perfect of a person you meet. Okay? So either learn how to do it or stop wasting people's time. Stop breaking people's hearts. Here comes the advice part of this video. Advice for the lonely Christian who really, really does want to get into a godly relationship, yet finds him or herself, I guess, not finding the right person. Or at least the people around you are just not good enough for you. You just don't feel that wonderful feeling of having a crush on them, okay? If that's you, hear this out. If you are holding on to high standards, yet still want a relationship right now, or you're going to perish and spontaneously combust, okay? Here's what you need to do. First, understand the true meaning of marriage. If you do not have this understanding, you are not in a position to think about a godly marriage, okay? You can think about relationships and, simple surface level stuff like that. But if you want a marriage as God intended it, you better understand his true meaning behind it, and we will discuss this soon. And then go ahead and take a look at the people around you and ask yourself, do any of these people have the potential to become the person that you are looking for? Let's talk about investment and certainty. If you are unwilling to invest in somebody else's growth, then ask yourself why you would expect someone else to be perfect for you right now. Okay, because that's really, really hard to find. That's such a high thing to be asking of somebody. And if there's nobody like that and you really need somebody like that, then just be patient and wait for it then. Stop complaining about it. You don't even know how you are going to change in the future, the next 6 months, whatever. So why expect certainty from somebody else? And why do you expect everyone to stay exactly the way they are so that you won't even consider them because they're not who you want them to be right now? On emotional expectations, relationships cannot be entirely about how somebody makes you feel, right? If your emotions dictate whether you stay in a relationship or not, you are not ready for a relationship. Get emotionally mature first. Let's talk about potential. What if someone who's interested in you is currently on their way of becoming someone so perfect and so amazing for you, but that's going to be down the line? Are you willing to invest in them, even if they don't meet all of your standards right now? Be careful with this one, because it could turn into you having no standards at all and just go and dating every person who seems decent. Okay, that's a recipe for disaster. There are healthy deal breakers that you should have for yourself. You should be working on these very carefully. But my point in this one is, if you really you're just looking for someone who is just perfect right now. He has to be perfect right now. And he has to be right now ready for all the things that come within the next 15, 20, 30 years. You're not going to find that person. But what you will find, I think very easily, are people who are on their journey, perhaps halfway through or at the beginning stages, who are not doing so well at the current moment, but will do really, really well down the line. And maybe the process will be expedited to when somebody is walking alongside them and investing in them. Likewise to you. Would you not like somebody who's just, so perfect and charming to walk alongside you, even though you're not what they're looking for right now, but they invest in you because they know you can become that person in the future? Wouldn't you like that? So why don't you do it to other people? And if that sounds too much of a risk to you, you don't want to live your life on a what if, then my advice to you, just don't start anything then. Right? Then do wait for that right person to come along. But don't stop playing with people. Yeah? Right? If you're not willing to invest in people and their potentials, okay, don't play with them. Close yourself off. Make it very clear that you don't want anything with anybody. Yes, this is very important. And don't complain while you wait for the perfect husband or wife. Okay? And work on yourself to become like that person. Real quickly, let's just run through the real meaning of marriage, because this is really the most important part. If you do not understand how this all works, then again, do not go waste people's time. And don't waste God's time, even though that's not a possible thing. Learn his standards if you want his blessing in your marriage, okay? Let's dive deep into this. Just kidding. We're not going to dive deep into this. It's going to be very shallow. Anyways, marriage is not about self-fulfillment, okay? We know that much. Marriage is a portrait, amongst many things, but very importantly, marriage is a portrait. It is an earthly reflection of Christ's relationship with the church. That's too much to cover already in one video, but suffice to say, the purpose of marriage biblically is definitely not self-fulfillment, although a good marriage is tremendously fulfilling. So the basic building blocks for your marriage then should not be how this person makes me feel, how this person could benefit me, okay? That comes later. The basics of a biblical marriage based on Ephesians 5:25 to 33, okay? I'm going to put it on the screen right now. You can pause and read it. Marriage is first and foremost self-sacrificial. Yes, because Christ died for the church. And Christ in the church is a picture of marriage. Did Christ wait for the church to be perfect and spotless before he sacrificed himself for her and accepted her and invested in her? Absolutely not, right? Christ sacrificed his own life for the church before she gave him anything. But he knew her potential and he saw the joys that laid ahead of him. And he continues to cultivate that potential until the day it is realized, okay? This is the standard. It's quite extreme, but it is the standard. Before the church even loved him at all, he sacrifices his own life going through terrible suffering for her because he saw the day where she's going to be without blemish and spotless. And the union will be perfect together because he saw that potential. He went through all of that. He put in the investment. If we emulate his pattern, then marriage becomes a method of sanctifying one another and helping each other to grow towards that full potential in Christ. That's what it's about. It's not about how she makes you feel. That's a byproduct of a marriage that centers around God. The journey will not match those idealistic relationship expectations that you have because you are bearing with an imperfect person. When two people come together so intimately like that and spend basically every waking hour with one another, they're going to see flaws and they're going to see things about each other that they dislike, and difficulties will come, extreme difficulties. But bearing with an imperfect person is just like Christ bearing with his ever-failing church. You just take a look at your own life and see how Christ bears with you. That's the standard that he expects you to have when you are treating your significant other. Thus, when searching for a partner, look for the someone with the potential and desire to become what God wants them to be. If you're looking for someone who has already reached their quote-unquote final form, you're going to find them, guess what, in the kingdom of God, where there is no marriage. Only one ultimate marriage there, but you're not going to get one there. So for more insight, I would recommend this book, The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. Still one of the most readable yet insightful books on marriage that I have ever read. And here comes the part of the video that I feel most unequipped to talk about, because guess what? Here's a guy who's never had a successful relationship before. But here are his practical applications for you after all that we just talked about. Number one is to expand your perspective. Number one, take a genuine interest in the people around you of the opposite gender, right? Look for potential and character, not perfection, and shed your superficial standards for people. Things like looks, their current financial status, their current social status, how they dress, all of that stuff. Those things change, and those things have quite a bit of potential to grow. And sometimes it only takes one person to cultivate them for them to have the motivation to become the person that, they're meant to be. So again, look for potential and growth, and look for look for basic good character. But don't look for people at their final form yet, because people don't get there sometimes at this age. And stop dismissing people based on a first impression basis or surface level traits. At least get to know them well first before you just write them off and close yourself off emotionally to those people. That doesn't mean you need to rush into a relationship with the next person that you meet, with the next decent guy that you meet. Of course, use wisdom, take your time, consider carefully, but just shed those superficial standards. Just shed them all and think into the future, okay? Look at these people and think into their future. Which one is the one who might be not so good right now, but the one that has the best potential to be what you're looking for? Two is to understand the cost of self-sacrificing love. Reflect on what it means to love someone sacrificially, as Christ loves his church. Ask older couples with successful relationships how hard it was and what sacrifices they needed to make for one another, and you'll be surprised at some of the gnarly stuff that they had to go through together. Love is not always glamorous. It's about perseverance, it's about humility, and it's about commitment, right? Those things are tough and hard and oftentimes not enjoyable. Not like the beautiful romantic relationship that you've always dreamed of. It's really hard. And if you think you know how hard it is, it's harder than you think. C.S. Lewis had such a wonderful quote about how loving someone fully means that you're opening up yourself to hurt. I'm going to throw the quote right here, actually, because I can't quote it right now, but you're going to pause it and read it, and you're going to say, wow, Danny picked the right quote. 3, reevaluate your motives. Be honest with yourself. Why do you want a relationship? Is it truly about glorifying God and fulfilling his purpose for marriage? Or is it about fulfilling your own emotional and social needs? Now, there's a great case to be made here that companionship, at the very least, is a basic human need. And I think God made it that way, and he is happy to provide us with a good marriage to fulfill those needs. But I think the way of the Bible is that God takes care of our needs when we put his kingdom first. Okay? So think about that and reevaluate why you want to be married right now. And the fourth is a personal, it's just a personal ramble, I would suppose. This is not dogmatic. But for me personally, I think the ultimate deal breaker in any Christian relationship is this. And this is me after I walked 23 years of life, which is not a lot, but I have been through a few things when it comes to relationships, and it has taught me quite the number of things. And at this point, this is the only deal breaker. Okay? Is this person willing to love me as Christ loves his church? Because no matter who that person is, if they really, 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 really are willing to at least, do their best to accomplish this kind of love, this is the type of love that can endure for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. That's the only one that will last 100% in all of those circumstances, is the person who makes the commitment that I am going to love you unconditionally as Christ loves us unconditionally. And that is a very, very high bar, but it ignores all the other superficial reasons. Save, no superficial reasons left over. This is the only thing. It's not about finding someone who will make you happy 100% of the time, but finding someone who will walk with you in Christ's love no matter what life throws your way. And I think as a relationship goes on, there's gonna come a point where only that love will endure. Maybe not in all relationships, but in many relationships. It's going to come to a point where you don't find this person very attractive. You really hate some parts about their character, and sometimes you just don't want them around the house anymore. But it's only this crazy, and I say the word crazy, unimaginable, sometimes illogical love that keeps two together. And that is the kind of commitment that I want from anybody that I even would take an interest in. And that bar, I would dare to wager, is higher than what most people hold today. Yet it is superficially lower. I really hope that when I go back to watch this is coherent and not just mumbo jumbo of stupid relationship advice from a 23-year-old single man. But I hope this has been at least interesting to you. Um, and wish you the best this Valentine's Day in whatever you're walking through. If it's a season of loneliness, or you found the right person, or you're struggling in your relationship, I just hope that all of us, I think all three categories, can come together and agree that the love of Christ is what we should be all aiming towards, no matter what season of a relationship status that we're walking in. So this Valentine's Day, remember to love as Jesus did. And we will talk to you in the next episode. God bless.